Hello Mila, hello Jack. Hello everybody else who's watching. Welcome to Storytime with Grandad. Today's book is from the Easy Peasy People, and this is Charlie Oink. This is a tale of Charlie Oink, a rather round, frightfully fat, perfectly plump, pink Easy Peasy pig. He lives on Easy Peasy Island, up high hill, down long lane, and round curly corner in Trotter Cottage, which incidentally is next to Barley Farm. Now, the reason Charlie Oink is a very plump pig is because he likes to eat. He loves to eat apples. Apples for breakfast, apples for lunch, apples for tea, apples for supper, apple after apple after apple after apple. And in between, he rather enjoys the occasional apple. For breakfast every morning, Charlie eats 5 apples. For lunch every lunchtime, Charlie eats 10 apples. For tea every afternoon, Charlie eats 15 apples. And for supper every evening, guess how many apples Charlie Oink eats? 20. No wonder Charlie is rather round and frightfully fat. And every night, when that greedy Charlie Oink goes to bed, he dreams about only one thing. Guess what? That's right, apples. Apple after apple after apple. Good night, you greedy Oink. But there is one person on Easy Peasy Island who doesn't like Charlie Oink liking apples. And that person is Arthur Acre the farmer. He lives up high hill, down long lane, and round curly corner on Barley Farm, which, if you remember, is next door to Trotter Cottage. And they were his apples that Charlie Oink was eating. Every evening, Charlie Oink used to nip through the hedge of Trotter Cottage and help himself to Arthur Acre's apples. Do you think that pleased Arthur Acre? No, it did not. I'm going to teach that greedy Oink a lesson, he said to Mrs. Acre one evening as they were having supper. How? She asked. I've no idea, he admitted. But then, in the middle of the night, Arthur Acre awoke with an idea. I know how to stop that greedy Oink eating all my apples, he grinned to himself. Easy peasy. And he grinned an easy peasy grin and went back to sleep. The following morning, early, Arthur went out to his apple orchard, and in his hand, on a piece of string, he held a balloon. A red balloon. A huge red balloon. He tied it on to the bottom branch of one of his apple trees, and there it hung, looking like the biggest apple in the world. And then he went and hid. Later that same morning, a piggy nose appeared through the hedge of Trotter Cottage, and on the end of that piggy nose was a piggy face. And the piggy eyes in that piggy face looked around to make sure that nobody was around. And as nobody was around, Charlie Oink popped through the hedge, and there he saw it. He couldn't believe his eyes. I say, he breathed, it's the biggest apple in the world. Charlie crept towards it, the biggest apple in the world, and he licked his lips, and he stood on tiptoe and shut his eyes and opened his mouth, and he took a bite out of the biggest apple in the world. And Charlie Oink was so frightened that he fell head over heels, over feet, over hands, over everything, and he fled. Back through the hedge, back to Trotter Cottage, through the door, up the stairs, under the bed, and there he hid, trembling. Arthur Acre grinned a grin, and chuckled a chuckle, and laughed a laugh. He laughed, and laughed, and laughed, and laughed. And then he laughed again. I don't think, he laughed, that I'll see that greedy Oink in my apple orchard ever again. And do you know something? He was right. Charlie Oink hasn't touched an apple from that day forwards to this day backward. And do you know something else? Guess what Charlie Oink dreams about these days? I'll tell you, bananas. Which is a pity, because there aren't any on Easy Peasy Island. The end. Goodbye, Mila. Goodbye, Jack. I'll see you soon. Goodbye, everyone. Bye.